everybody, G-Force41 here with another PGA Tour 2K25 golf course tip design tutorial video. This is Quick Tips. Another episode of Quick Tips. Quick Tips 28 we are at, if you can believe it. So we are at JRC The Bluff Gardens by Ondori 20, O-N-D-O-R-I 22, sorry. And this course comes to us by suggestion of viewer Ralph for his friend Jason. So thank you, Ralph and Jason, for chiming in on the website. So Ralph likes this one, wants me to take a look at it. We will take a look. So looks like a little bit of neutral lighting. Noon, it looked like on the setup screen. Not bad. So what do I say, everybody? Paint a picture off that first tee. Pretty picture. Got a little lighthouse, a little tiny one off to the right. Some good planting off to the left, and I like it. So I'm playing back tees. Got a decision. You could probably sneak one in there if you wanted. But we're just going to go 3-wood. So kind of dramatic first hole. There is room to hit driver if you got the wind in your face. So I didn't want to risk it. Good thing I didn't. And this is a long 4 going in. I would just say great job planting so far. I think the rocks are pretty good. It's nice. Could use a little work, but it's not far off. And I don't know why there's a tree right there. I would, So the planting's really good. The 3 trees behind the hole are great. I just don't like that. I don't think I've ever seen a tree that close to a green. The plants off to the side, not bad. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know why you would have that there. You can get stuck in a bunker with the tree in your way. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. The bunker sculpting looks like it needs a little bit of work. But this sets really nicely with the background for the theme. So hat tip there. And using the new neutral lighting. Some people like that. I like the gate around it too. I have that in Hessian Hollows a little bit, although it's going up and down like a roller coaster. Don't know that you would see a wrought iron railing go up and down like a roller coaster, but I like the idea. I like the effect. Let's see how these greens are doing. They're rolling at 152. Looks like a reasonable green. I'm playing the back tees, wind east medium, like I usually do. Okay, look at the camera, nice and slow. All right. People whip these cameras around, make me dizzy. All right, so I like the idea of the fence, but see how it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. You're not going to see fences do that. They're going to go up and down a little, but for the most part, they're going to be fairly straight. Or if they're going to go up and down, it's going to be at a constant slope, right? At a rate of. It's going to go up at 2 or 3 degrees or whatever. It's going to be a little straight. It's just too waggly. Also, I don't know that you'd have a wrought iron gate there. That I don't think you'd see that on course. You'd probably see some sort of wood fence there. Maybe an old stone fence or something like that. I don't know that's the right choice of fence for me personally. But you want it there so somebody doesn't fall off the cliff. So I like the touch. But I would have made a different choice on that one. I like how these kind of come up in here. It makes it a little snug. I don't do a lot of that stuff. One I'm designing right now does a little bit of that. Strategically, this works. So you can have a little bit of a heroic carry over here. You got to be careful of that bunker up there. And you can run out of real estate over there. But we're going uphill. We do have a little wind at our back. It is pretty dark. Now I'm playing this. It is midday here, so it's light, very light in this room. The sun is shining into this room, so it looks probably a little darker than it would if I was playing this late at night. So this is the first par 5. I don't like that bunker right there. People will want to run the ball up if they can. You want to incorporate the ground game in the par 5s. Fairly often, not always, but fairly often. That looks weird there to boot. It's just in a weird spot, in a weird shape, and it's blocking a par 5. Sometimes you might see a small one, but that would kind of be almost lion's mouthy where you have options on either side. You can't really use this side and you can't use that side because of the water. So with water there and another big bunker there, I don't like that at all. I'd get rid of that. Um, and do something else. Maybe pinch this more and have that bunker in here. Or, have one big bunker off to the side and get rid of that one. I don't know. But you've got to carry it there, which is fine. Does it make the hole more challenging? Yes. Does it make it more interesting? No. Does it make it more annoying? We'll find out. Oh, it did not. So the bunker sculpting needs a little bit of work. I'll try to find some bunkers on the next hole. Planting's not bad. I think it's fairly good. These greens look reasonable so far. They're moving. I didn't really. This one should be moving back towards me a little bit, you would think, with the water behind me. There's nothing unreasonable here. No big tiers. Giant slopes. This one's in a little bit of a funky spot. Not bad. Alright. So I still got the winter ski hat on, though. The snow has finally melted here in New England. So maybe I'll move to a golf hat soon. Oh, that bunker looks funky. There's nothing but the big snow piles left after the blizzard of 26. The ground is clear. Alright, so there's that fence again. That looks better there. That looks a little bit more natural. But again, it's kind of wavy, bumpy. That could be really cool feature if you had a different fence and it was a little smoother. 290 here. So here's where I talk about, yeah, it looks like, again, I designed, so I know these shapes. The designer took the shapes and just kind of plopped them in there, and it looks just wavy, jagged. It's really hard to do the jagged bunkers. There's a couple of ways to do it. I don't want to waste too much time here. But again, it looks like the shapes were applied, and you see how flat it is around the terrain. So it's like just the shapes were applied to the terrain. And you can get away with that these days because it does put the sand in pretty flat compared to what it used to do in the old days. And you can have a decent playable bunker. It doesn't look horrendous. It's blocks. It's flat. So again, sculpt your bunkers, sculpt the land around the bunkers, cut the bunker in, and then sculpt a little on the inside. You don't have to do as much sculpting on the inside as you did in previous versions. But sometimes I just take the fuzzy donut brush and make it a little bit more concave. So we've got bunkers all around. Again, I like the idea here, but this just looks silly. Looks squiggly. You don't need to do this anymore. You have the sand tools in the terrain painting. Okay? So you can just terrain paint these bad boys in and it'll look really good. And then you don't have to worry about the sculpting so much. You have to worry about it a little because you don't want it too bumpy. But I would have done that there. So the waste bunkers, you can use the terrain painting these days. And it gives, of course, a good kind of rustic feel, You can still do bunkers like that, but again, you've really got to prepare that land, sculpt it correctly, and make it interesting and believable. It just looks very cookie cutter, very kind of TGC 19. All right. So Jason's got command of the cameras, that's for sure. Nice and calm and steady and smooth. That's the way to do it. No worries. So this could be spectacular. Again, I think the fence takes away from this hole a little bit. I see why you would have a fence there because you don't want anybody plunging to their death on your golf course. And you could see realistically why there would be a fence at something like this in real life, but not that fence. So the alternative you can do there is put rocks or can't put trees there, obviously, in this shot. Shrubs, bushes, and rocks and things like that. Make natural barriers to somebody falling off the cliff. It's another way to approach it. All right, so we got a big, long 3, 250. Okay. There are 3 schools of design in golf. One is which is the penal school of design. There is a big penalty for missing this shot because not only could you possibly lose your ball, but if you fall backwards off the green, you're pretty much going to be toast. So this is a little bit of a fantasy kind of hole. I get the idea, but you want to give more room here because realistically, you would never have anything like this. So you want more room to kind of have around the screen where people could walk around it, etc. Because it's, that'd be pretty easy to plunge to an untimely death on a golf course. But I like the idea of the visual and the forced carry, right? We're going for the drama here. What can I tell you other than don't over dramatize your courses? I've seen people try to do this, like in, TGC Tours has the wonderful World Cup of Design. And so everybody has to make these spectacular courses. Now this is a pretty view here, right? Really pretty. So if you just, made it more realistic, that would be pretty cool. Anyway, people try to make these spectacular courses to, for the contest, because you can't just have like a boring old, Gary course that's realistic to win. But yes, you can actually. So that, people try too hard sometimes to make things way too dramatic. The most dramatically dramatic hole in golf. And it just doesn't always fly. And it comes across sometimes as trying too hard. Golf course design, it's like pitching a baseball. You can't just throw fastball after fastball or curveball after curveball. You've got to throw fastball, curveball, changeup, whatever, slider, mix it up, high, low, inside out. That's what makes golf course design interesting and fun and makes your course playable and repeatable. Not just, I'm going to have giant cliffs on every hole and dramatic elevation changes on every hole. It has to make sense. You want some, whoops, that's going to piss people off. So, yeah, I would stay away from something that bounds a ball that hits the fairway dramatically into a hazard or sand or something like that. Sometimes you get bumps and things on the fairway and you're going to get an unfair bump, fine. But that looks like it was the camber's totally designed to roll you in there. People are not going to like it. Trust me, I've done hogsback holes that the hump hits, you hit it and it rolls you off the fairway and people get pissed. You hit a good shot in the fairway and now you're in a bunker. So be careful of that. Kind of home plate shaped green. But yeah, so you just got to switch things up. And then keep some continuity to it, a feel, look and a feel of continuity. So that's the challenge, right? All right, so the greens are okay. I mean, this is kind of falling off to the sides, which I think is fine because this is kind of a high point. It's a little bit of a plateau. So the ideas here are close. The execution is close. I can see why Ralph likes this course, but definitely from a experienced designer standpoint, there's a lot of room for improvements to make this one a knockout. All right. Again, you see the cookie cutters. Now it's kind of hitting into the fairway. Yeah, pick one. You're going to have bunkers that go into the fairway. There's a way to do it. Look at some sand belt type courses. I don't like it when they do that. I'd rather just keep the bunker in the rough. If you're a newer designer, don't get into how to have it cut into the fairway. Yes, I know there are courses that do that. I don't think it's easy to do well in this game. Probably a little easier now than the old days. But again, look at some of those, I think, Australia sandbelt type courses from better designers. I can't think of one off the top of my head. All right, again, we've got the dramatically dramatic. Okay, so again, you would plunge to your untimely death if you lost your balance at the end of the green here, right? You could have a chip. You could have a chip right here. What if you fell backwards, right? So, all right. So obviously it's a video game, but from a realistic standpoint, this takes it into fantasy territory. And you would have the fence somewhere along there as well. And now you're going to have a shot just off the green and no recovery. Where's the drop going to be? You can't go back on a line, or can you? Nope. Right? So you can't go back on a line and you can't go lateral drop. Okay? You might. Wonder if we can go all the way up. Nope. So that takes away your options. I have nothing else to do but re-hit, so you might as well make that out of bounds. But you want some room there for recovery, for a miss. There should be a margin of error, right? You'd want a kind of big swath of rough, you know, at least 5 to 10, if not 20 yards around the screen before it falls off. So again, you're kind of in the fantasy zone when you're designing holes like this. All right. All right, off to 7, and we have another 4 here. We're going over a stream, so it's a shortish par 4. Again, so not bad. Like I said, these are, you kind of want to, when you do this, plant around it. It's kind of just fairway and then just dirt or rock. A strip of rough here would be nice, and then you plant this. Light grasses, some light shrubbery or brush. I think it's just a little harsh, a little too much, rough, what have you. It's got 2 bridges together there, a little awkward. And then there's that fence again. All right, so yeah, just these bunkers don't particularly work. You see again, they'd be fine to play out of. But you see there, the sculpting's a little weird. I mean, that's just odd and kind of bathtubby. Right up in here. Kind of odd. Okay. So, some good ideas. But the execution is a little rough. Don't know how long this designer's been designing for, but, in the early days, that was me as well. I had all these grand ideas. I didn't really know how to execute them well. And things get a little silly. That's why I do these things. I took advantage of lots of videos back in the day. I say this all the time. I haven't said it in a while. Taste GW was the first videos I would look at. Then I found Crazy Canuck, and eventually, Matt F27. Matt used to stream a lot. Oh, look at this green. Matt used to do, what is he called? The Joy of Planting, right? It was a play on the Joy of Painting, that PBS painting show that used to be on. He's a painter recreationally, so he played that up. So this is kind of cool. It's in an alcove. I like this idea. Again, there's not enough room around the green, and this green is way too small for 224 yards over a forced carry. So a little bit bigger on the green. Yeah, like we talked about having par 3s where you can't see them totally off the tee. Not a big fan. Sometimes you can pull it off. Of course, I said don't do it. And like a week later, I did a video on Architect Maze's course, and he did it like 3 times and won, of course. And he's an amazing designer, so stay away from it if you're a newer designer. But that little peak, I just said, maybe you can get away with it on this one, but maybe a little bit more view of the green to show, and a little bit of an obscured view. So again, I like the idea. Needs a little work on the execution. All right, one more, because we tend to only do 9 holes on quick tips. Try to keep it quick. That's why they are indeed quick tips. Okay, we've got a par 4, another forced carry, but you see what I mean? It's all rocks and forced carry and cliffs on every single hole. This darn thing's there every hole. I know what you're going for, but again, I think it tries too hard. Look at those tee boxes up there. Those don't look natural. They look very forced. So this I don't think is meant to be a fantasy course, but it's just, to me, venturing off into fantasy golf a little bit, and it's not. Oh, it's a bad kick too. Smooth those fairways. Make sure they play reasonable. Yeah, again, okay. So now we're hard into fantasy land here, because that's crazy. I mean, you would never see anything like that. So I'm not, huge on the fantasy type courses. But this is nuts a little bit. All right. So, all right. We'll see what this guy does here. Little 5-iron. And I'm going to miss. There we go. Oh my God. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go, right? So that will get old in a hurry for some people. All right. So the greens are fairly reasonable. Ah, bad putt to finish. Oh, terrible putt. So this was JRC The Bluff Gardens on Dory 22 at the request of Ralph. And I enjoy it. It is, fun to take a look at these things. So there's some great ideas here, some great views, but, I think my view and summary here is don't try too hard to make everything the most dramatically dramatic hole in golf, and really execute on the sculpting, the extras, the fences, things like that. Make sure it looks as real as possible and as normal as possible. If you're going for a fantasy course, go for it. But it's kind of, to me, off the tee, it looks normal, and then you've got this kind of craziness by the greens. So pick one. But otherwise, I think this designer is on the right track. It's just a matter of executing properly. So I hope you enjoyed this version of Quick Tips. This is GForce41 signing off. And of course, I haven't put in a plug for my podcast in a while. So if you're watching, please go down below and look for my podcast, Your Customer Success. It is a real business podcast. It is legit. I am listened to and watched in over 40 countries around the world, believe it or not. So that is important stuff. You almost make a living to pay for your golf somehow. So go check it out. And please like and subscribe there as well as here if you haven't already. Okay? That's all for today, folks. Bye for now.